Okay, so I want to get kind of deeper into my thoughts on this new push for Patriot Act 2.0, a domestic terrorism law, um, which I think some people are correctly saying it'll probably be based on Adam Schiff's bill that he brought up last year, which, Adam Schiff is a big Russia hawk, I believe. Which defense contractor is it that's in his district? Might be Raytheon. Um, but I mean, he's a major deep state hack, if in case that wasn't already clear from the RussiaGate stuff. And now, thanks to the events of January the 6th, which seems like from what as I learn more information about it, seems more and more like it could have possibly been a false flag type of thing, and if not something that was necessarily orchestrated by the government, something that they allowed to happen. Which to me, very similar from stuff like if you look at back to the USS Maine, Pearl Harbor, 9/11, there always seem to be warning signs that get ignored for whatever reason. And usually this is always chalked up to incompetence. But it just so happens that in these instances where we have major catastrophic breaches in competence, lapses in competence on the part of U.S. intelligence agencies, it leads to an event that only empowers them. And to say that in terms of loss of life or anything, that the events of Wednesday could in any world be compared to Pearl Harbor or 9/11 is absurd, but that is what the narrative has been. And so if the narrative is this is the new 9/11, then obviously that means they're going to try, or the new Pearl Harbor, they're going to try and do the same things and expand state power in similar ways. And to me, that means that my call for keeping your head down, for trying not to stick your neck out too much at this point, I think that is increasingly looking like a good call. Now, I myself, just by putting out these videos every day, am putting a target on my back, but at least I'm someone who is not very relevant. So maybe, in terms of the tiers of potential threats who could get offed by some new Stasi organization that is empowered by this new law that's going to be passed at some point. Hopefully, I'm not in the top tier of people who will be persecuted, because it's very clear that they're going to try and silence dissent through the use of force now. There is no sign here that reconciliation is the goal. The entire establishment, the entire cathedral, to borrow a term from Yarvin, is set totally on trying to achieve retribution, to punish Trump, his supporters, and everyone associated with dissenting from the established narrative. And yes, as some people have been pointing out, that includes the leftists too. Antifa is going to have their own night of long knives sort of situation as things continue to escalate. So anyway, this new rhetorical game of labeling, occupying a federal building, a very, a tried and true form of protest on the left, which for the first time was used to a certain extent by the right, making not only that synonymous with domestic terror, but simply being in Washington, D.C. on January the 6th. Pretty much they're saying every single one of those people who was there to support Trump was a terrorist, and they're trying to charge people who are at the Capitol with murder for the life of the one of the Capitol police officers that was injured and then died from his injuries. People who were nowhere near the guy when he was killed. Apparently, they want to charge them with murder too. And so the state is going to increasingly find reasons and create and invent new reasons to jail people who express dissent. And at first, they're going to go after people on the margins, the most fringe of elements. Right now, it's clear that their target is the Q people, which is not shocking to me at all. I wouldn't be surprised if Q turned out to be a total honeypot, because based on the kinds of people who are propped up as heroes, and sort of the whole narrative of QAnon, talking about how there are these secret super patriots inside the deep state who are really, they're working against the evil black hats, and they're gonna put Hillary in prison. Just wait. I mean, clearly, what the purpose of the whole QAnon narrative was to disarm people who were becoming increasingly skeptical of the deep state, which was one of the brightest spots of Trump's presidency, is that people on the right started to wake up to the fact that the U.S. intelligence agency is made up of a bunch of bad people who do bad things. Q was telling them, no, they're secretly good, and and everything's gonna be okay. Just trust the plan of the CIA, basically. And now the people who believed in the deep state, essentially, in the deep state's lie, and the narrative that said that people like Mike Pompeo were super secret ultra patriots. Mike Pompeo, who lied about, the whole job of, when he was at the CIA is to lie and lie and lie, and these people don't hide the ball as far as that's concerned, because they have utter contempt for you. They don't care if you know the truth. They just think that they can get away with it anyway. And so all these people who were suckered by Q are going to be the first ones to be rounded up, the first ones who are going to be put on no-fly lists, the first ones who, once they pass no-fly, no-buy, will be deprived of their Second Amendment rights. And the first people, potentially, to become political prisoners if they're able to trump up some kind of domestic terrorism charge on them with, through the use of some new statute that they're going to pass. And so again, I will reiterate, try and keep your head down. Do not, obviously you don't want to totally give up expressing dissent, but you want to do it in a way that will not make you the first target. You want to wait things out, watch what happens to the people that they go after first. Because I'll get to the bright spot here, because this has been a pretty dark video so far. The state does not have the power to persecute people like they want to. I think that the establishment is totally overplaying their hand in the way that they're reacting to this, in the way that they've sort of trumped up this whole situation and ratcheted up what happened on January 6th to be Pearl Harbor 9/11, which it so obviously is not. If they do the kinds of things that I'm talking about, if they turn DHS, for example, into the new Stasi, there's going to be a very major backlash against that. But it's going to be a backlash that will occur after a number of people are martyred. And, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be a martyr. Just because, no matter how well everyone behaves, there's always going to be someone who's on the fringe by definition. And those people are going to, they're going to be punished. They're going to go after them first. And hopefully, whatever happens to them is enough to wake up the rest of the population and trigger enough of a popular backlash that this does not continue. And hopefully, the people who are initially persecuted are able to be freed. Hopefully it's not a situation where, like, they die or they kill themselves because their lives have been destroyed. Now, another possibility is that because they're being so brazen in all of their actions recently, they might go for more than just banning online gun sales. Maybe that's just, that's too much beating around the bush, even though I'm much more afraid of that. That's something that scares me the most, banning online ammo sales, online gun sales, because that's something that they could get done, and that would have a material impact on the right to bear arms in this country, because that means that you're going to, especially now that Walmart has limited their ammo sales and things like that, it will become much more expensive to become a gun owner. And it'll be very expensive to stock up on ammo. You'll be left at the mercy of brick and mortar businesses, rather than online businesses who can benefit from economies of scale and not able to do a much higher volume business without having a footprint in every single town. And so that's more of a crypto assault on the Second Amendment. But perhaps we'll go for something more overt. Again, overplaying their hand, which they've drawn from this current situation. Hopefully, they will go for a more comprehensive gun ban. Maybe a retread of the assault weapons ban, or maybe a full-on a ban on semi-auto weapons, saying that people are going to use them to commit domestic terrorism, and they'll wrap this into the domestic terrorism law. Because if that passes, it will be unenforceable. The federal government will not have enough cooperation from state and local governments to put any sort of gun ban into effect. And that, again, just like the Capitol siege, quote unquote. I mean, now that it's become so obvious that a lot of those people were let in, people had no idea that they were breaking any kind of laws. It is, I chuckle a little bit calling it the Capitol siege, but that's what it's called now, or the events of January 6th. Let's call it that. That exposed the weakness of the state. It made them look stupid. Having a guy sitting in Nancy Pelosi's desk, that was denigrating to the seriousness of Congress and Washington. And similarly, if Congress passes a law and then nobody follows that law, that also will totally expose their weakness. It will make people wake up and realize, oh wait, just because Congress said I have to do something, I don't have to do it. Because any sort of gun ban like that, I can just tell you right off the bat, Ron DeSantis and another example within Florida, Grady Judd, the sheriff of Polk County, neither of them would would cooperate with enforcing some kind of gun ban like that. And if Ron DeSantis and Grady Judd say no, I'd imagine that most of your other county sheriffs in Florida would say no. I mean, even in Virginia, which is a state which has fallen so far into the abyss, they had a massive number of county sheriffs say when there was a assault weapons ban proposed in the Virginia legislature, that they would not enforce it, that they would be gun sanctuary counties. That just reiterated to me that guns are the issue that really will expose the weakness of the state. That is an issue that people are not willing to compromise on. And I hope that the people in Washington are too arrogant at this point to realize that. So that's where we stand as of now. The persecution is not going to be fun. It's going to be very frightening. A lot of people, I think, will lose hope for the future. But I would caution all of you not to lose hope. It is not, all hope is not lost. And to me, the coming crackdown is going to be sort of the death throes of the U.S. establishment. I don't think, or their last hurrah, their last gasp of power, because they're not smart enough to hold on to their power. They're not smart enough to increase their power. They're being totally ham-fisted in the way that they're going about this, and that makes me smile. I would feel much worse if Joe Biden was being, at least publicly, somewhat conciliatory towards the Trump supporters and saying, hey, we want to bring you back into the fold. No, he's calling for unity, while at the same time, and this is true of all the Democrats and a lot of the Republicans, while at the same time saying that Trump supporters are domestic terrorists and enemies of our country. So what they're saying is they want you to submit, or worse yet, that you're not even a part of the populace. So with that said, if you gained anything of value out of this video, I'd appreciate you clicking that like button and sharing this video, subscribing to me both on YouTube and BitChute. So I'll see you folks back here tomorrow, hopefully.